Hi guys, Biker1K. So today I'm doing a bit of a request video. I've been asked to talk through my bike electrics and how I installed all the accessories that I've got on the bike. Merkman specifically, shout out to you. I know you've definitely been asking. You also have a Honda DeVille 650 and you want to know how I did it and why I did it the way I've done it. Now I have done a little video on this before previously, but I'm just going to go into more the wiring aspect of it, how I did it, why I did it that way. I'm not an auto electrician, guys. This necessarily isn't the right way to do it, but it's worked for me. It's done about 3,500 miles now with all the accessories on. I've had no issues whatsoever electrically. So however I've done it, it works. If it works for you, great. If it doesn't, you know a better way. Happy days. I'm pleased for it. Alright guys, so just a quick little diagram of what I've done. So vehicle battery here, positive, negative terminals. Coming down, red lines positive, green lines negative. So I bought a cheap inline fuse, available any good motor factors, Alfords, anywhere like that. Inline fuses normally have a line in, a line out. So from the positive terminal on the battery, straight into the inline fuse, that's one of the lines. Okay. The line out comes down into a standard 4-pin relay. Now I don't know if anyone knows anything about 4-pin relays. I certainly didn't. So with the aid of Google, I found out what the pin numbers mean. So every 4-pin relay has 4 pins, obviously, and they all have a number on. So you've got a number 30, 85, 86, 87. So 30 is your inline. Pin number 30 is coming from your inline fuse. So you've got an inline fuse in, inline fuse out. So that goes on to pin number 30, which is there. Pin number 87 is your power out, so we'll talk about that in a second. Negative terminal off your battery, so follow the green line down, go straight on to pin 85. See it joins there with a wire out, so you've got to put 2 wires onto the spade connector, one from the battery and one going elsewhere. The yellow wire here goes onto pin 86, and that goes from your bike fuse panel. On a Honda DeVille, fuse panel is behind the right hand side panels. You take them off, you've got a little fuse panel, and you just link into one of them so that when you turn the ignition key on, that activates the relay. So the relay is switched with the bike power, so you shouldn't therefore be able to leave anything on at all, ever. Alright, which is how you want to do your wiring. And like I said, 87, that's your power out. So you've got your power coming in through your relay, through your 30 amp fuse into your relay. You've got your bike fuse panel, so you turn the ignition on, that activates the relay. You've got your negative coming in and you've got your power coming out. Dead easy so far, nothing hard about that. So I bought 2 terminal blocks. They're not, as I've designated them, positive, negative, but when you get them, they're both exactly the same. You decide which one you want. So they've got 4 connection points where you can add accessories out for both the positive and negative. And then at the side you've got a little fastening where you can put your power in. So from 87 on the fuse off the relay, I brought the power up and I put it onto one of the fuse blocks. We'll call it a distribution block. Same with the negative, coming off 85, straight across onto the negative. So now these 2 blocks are negatives and positives. We've got 4 terminals, like I say, on each one. That allows 4 accessories to be wired in, dead easy. So if we come over to the right here, I'll swap hands with this. If we come over to the right, this is about my voltmeter that's on the left hand fairing panel. So it's got 4 different things to it. So the first one is the on off switch, so I can independently turn the switch on and off if I want to. Then I've got a voltmeter, because I've got quite a few accessories on that. I like to keep an eye on what the volts are doing, plus it gives you any early warning if you've got any issues with your regulator, rectifier, etc, etc. I've also got 2 USBs, good for charging your phone, etc. And because my sat-nav uses a 12-volt cigarette socket, I needed a 12-volt cigarette power outlet. So I bought this one because A, it's waterproof, I was going to mount it externally, and 2, it gave me everything that I wanted it to have. So positive block, you've got your power in, pick one of the terminals. I use say top right, and I ran the power straight from there straight to the positive terminal on the on-off switch. I put a spade connector on there. These are just spade connectors, but before I put the spade connector on, I put 2 wires onto that spade connector, one coming in, one going out. So I put the positive in onto that with a wire connected, so 2 wires onto the spade connector, and I linked that across to there onto the voltmeter. Again, spade connector, I put 2 wires on it, one coming in, one going out. That linked across to the USB. Again, 2 wires in it, one in, one out. And then finally, the 12-volt socket, I just put a single wire in, coming across from the USB because it terminated there. I wasn't linking it to something else. So all I did was a single wire across to there. The negative one, because I used top right there, I used top right here, makes it easier for any fault diagnosis later on. I just ran it straight up. Again, negatives, 2 wires, linked one across, 2 wires, linked it across, 2 wires, linked it across, then a single wire, terminating there. That, guys, is it. That's the simplest way I can describe my electrical system. Alright, it's not hard at all. Alright then, guys, so how does it look on the bike? So as you can see here, we've got a fuse block. In fact, if I stand around the other side, then it'll be the right way around. Okay, so how does it work, guys? So as you can see here, I've got one of the designated fuse blocks. Alright, you can see I've just made a card writing down small lights, big lights, horn and USB voltmeter, so I knew which is what. Now that one there is my positive one. The one that you can see just back here hiding away back behind here is the negative one. And as you can see, I've just mounted them under the seat where the toolkit normally goes. They kind of just fit in there nicely. Now you might think, my god, there's a lot of wires. Forget most of these wires. I've got 4 things on each one. You won't necessarily have that if you're just wiring in one accessory. Alright, keep it simple though, so we'll just talk about my USB. So I've got my relay fitted here, as you can see. There's my relay. I just drilled a little hole in the side of the casing, put a nut and bolt through so I could secure it nice and secure, and there's the relay. Inline fuse, there's the inline fuse, and as you can see there, 2 wires, one in, one out, dead easy. So following them wires down, coming down to the battery terminal, I've got my GoPro resting on it at the moment, but the red wire there, you can see there coming off, that one is linked to my positive terminal on my battery. And over this side, I've got a negative lead coming off the battery there, and that runs around under the battery case, and you can see the same wire coming out on the right side of the bike, just there, runs across the frame. So that all the negative leads, with the exception of the positive off the battery, all these leads on this side, even though the red wire is all I had, I have marked them with earthing tape, look, but all of these leads up here are all negative leads, every single one of them, with the exception, like I said, of the red positive out the battery. I know it's there, so it's not an issue. All the leads on this side are all the positives, so I've got separation of the positives and the negatives across the bike. So the red lead from the battery comes up here, all the way up, comes into the 30 amp fuse. That's the 30 amp fuse coming in there, goes through the fuse, and it comes back out. So you can see it coming out, it loops round here, and it goes onto terminal 30 of the relay. No problems whatsoever. Now to make things easy for you, down here you've got your fuse block for your bike. Alright, if you know DeVille's, that's it there. I've got the screwdriver tip resting on it there. So this white wire that I've got coming out here is linked into one of the fuses there. So that comes up here, you can see it there sticking out again. It runs up here, there it is again, sticking out. And it comes up there, and that's it there, running into the relay on terminal 86. dead easy. So now we've got the other white wire and the black wire. I only used what I had at the time. So you can see the white wire is the positive. This is the positive block. There's the white wire connected there, and you can see the white wire there, look. So you can see what thickness wire I've used. I should be able to get the specs for you. So it comes off terminal 85, I think it is, yeah, 85 off the relay, and it comes all the way around the back, just for ease of routing, all the way around here. You can just see it there. Comes round the back, coming up there, round onto that terminal there, which is the positive block, now designated. The black wire that comes out the relay, which is terminal 87, no it's not, it's terminal 85, the white wire is terminal 87. So the black wire that comes out, comes all the way around, there's the black wire over there, and that goes on to terminal down there, which you can hardly see. I don't know if you can get that angle there. There you go, black wire going in there, and that's now my negative fuse panel. If I take this lid off, I'll put you down a sec, 10 amp fuse in each one of them. So we've got a 5 amp fuse on the bike fuse panel, we've got a 30 amp fuse in line there, and each one of these positives has got a 10 amp fuse on, and you can see there each one of the negatives has got a 10 amp fuse in. So overload protection, any issues whatsoever, I have got absolutely loads of coverage. So let's go with USB volt. So I chose bottom left, bottom right as we look at it here. I just made a bit of paper up so I knew. Bottom left comes off, runs down the right hand side of the bike. Bottom left on the negative terminal, all marked with negative tape, runs around this side of the bike, runs back down here, all the way down here, and then disappears up under the fairings. Now it is easier, guys, if you take these side panels off. Sometimes it's easier if you take your side panels off as well. I managed to do it without taking the side panels off, but I brought the negatives down across here, and then because the accessories over here on the left side of the bike, what I did was I ran them through underneath the tank there, the negative, and I don't know if you're going to be able to see it, but you can just see the negative wire there. Let's see, there, that's the negative wire coming down. Alright, so now I've got a negative and a positive. I did braid all the wires that went anywhere close to anything. So if you can see here, it's got some black braiding on. You can see them down there. And I just ran them straight up to the fairing panel. Right. So remember, we've got a positive and a negative coming into the switch. Alright, that's 2 wires in. So 2 wires from the back. So 2 wires coming from the back. Positives down the left side, negatives down the right side, cross over under the tank, and then they both run up the inside of the fairing, and I've got a positive negative on this switch here. Link them across to the voltmeter, link them up to the USB, link them across to the 12 volt accessory. So that now, if I turn the ignition on, see the ignition's off at the moment, so if I turn all that ignition on, we'll get power on the voltmeter. I don't know if you can see that, but we've got power on the voltmeter. If I want to turn it off, I just flick the switch, and that's now all dead. That whole system there is dead because of that switch, even though I've got ignition on. If I want to turn it back on, just flick the switch. There's the voltmeter coming back on, and you can see I'm at 12.5 volts with the engine off. Alright, so I immediately know if I want to charge anything while I'm static. I've got a 12 volt cigarette socket there. I've got 2 USBs, 1 amp and 2.1 amp, and that also comes with a little red telltale on it. They are waterproof fittings. It's a maritime system that I've got. Alright, so I'll turn the ignition off, and that's what I did, guys. Yeah, that is it. It's easy, it's not hard at all. Yeah, it's simply that. Once you've done the main wiring to put your fuse blocks in, your distribution blocks, positive and negative, Now if I want to add accessories, it's purely a case of put an accessory there, negative, corresponding one there, positive. I recommend you run the positives down one side of the bike, the negatives down another side of the bike. Makes troubleshooting a lot easier. Use a crossover point. I chose under the tank because there's a lot of space, and then you can run them across to here, across to there. The only difference is if you're putting lights on, like so, or like so, you've got to have a positive and negative to each one.